Alright guys, today we're gonna be reacting to Sorry, German bread is better than yours. Huge statement. Thank you so much for the support, guys. Thank you so much for everything you guys have done for me and my channel. We're gonna be reacting to this video that has been recommended in my Discord. We're gonna simply jump in. Make sure you like and subscribe. Also for donation, you can simply go to the super chat and do so as well. We're heading to 4,000 subscribers, to 4,000 subscribers, guys. So a subscribe will really change things around here. So help me out to get to that goal. In the meantime, let's jump in.
The marble rye? You stole the bread?
Stole. It's my bread. They didn't eat it. Why should I leave it there?
You ate my sandwich?
Delicious bread.
We are going to be the best thing since sliced bread.
Yeah, right, bread.
Bread has been a part of human history for centuries. It plays an integral role in our daily life and is a symbol of culture, history, hunger, wealth, war, and peace. It is indispensable and has been key in human survival. Bread created the structure of modern-day society and gave order to our way of living. Without this seemingly simple food, civilization wouldn't exist the way that we know it today. But German bread specifically is unlike any other in the world. With a revenue of over 15 billion euros annually, the German bakery trade is booming. Germans have more bakeries and eat more varieties of bread than most other countries in the world.
That's a nice man. I'm gonna be honest. That's a nice slide, right? That is a nice slide.
It's worth mentioning that France does come out on top of the overall bakery count. According to the Bread Register of the German Institute for Bread, because, of course, there's such a thing, there are now more than 3,200 officially recognized types of bread in the country. So it makes sense that in 2015, German bread culture was officially added by UNESCO to its intangible cultural heritage list. And in 2018, Deutsche Post sold a stamp with a German bread culture slogan. And a key German term rests upon these hearty loaves too. One of the words for work is Broterwerb, literally gaining one's bread. If that isn't proof enough that Germany runs on bread, some of the biggest stars on TV are, you guessed it, Brot. A talking loaf named Bernd das Brot is a popular character.
Bitte was?
So why are Germans so obsessed with loaves?
It's different when somebody's holding the bread. It's very different. Look at that. Wow.
Loaves and pretzels and rolls? Well, let's take a look.
I was waiting for that sound, but that crunchy sound didn't happen. Type Ashton. Very nice logo, by the way.
One of the things that I love about bread is that beyond just simply being nutritious and delicious, bread also tells us a lot about history and cultural values. Quite frankly, you can learn a lot about a place simply by taking a look at the kind of bread that they consume. Where I'm from in the United States, overwhelmingly, the kind of bread that we mostly consume looks like this. Although I imagine a lot of my German viewers watching this video would think it is completely sacrilegious to call that bread in the first place.
I like bread and butter. I like toast and jam.
But stateside, this white, spongy bread is both a cultural icon and a symbol of American consumerism. It's cheap, kind of plastic, very corporate,
it's
and
everywhere.
full of all kinds of chemicals, sugars, and additives.
Man, that kind of bread is everywhere. I hate it. I hate that bread. I hate that bread.
That would make Europeans shudder. But it's also pretty tasty, and whether prepared as a grilled cheese or peanut butter and jelly, it's comforting and a staple of my childhood. But bread is different here in Germany, and the kind of bread that you have access to often varies pretty considerably from one region to the next. Traditional bread specialties in Lower Saxony are Gersterbrot, which is a special variation of Dobach, or twice-baked bread, also known as East Frisian black bread, which is a type of rye bread, and the unique Springbrötchen, literally cracked rolls, from Osnabrück, which you really probably won't find in a lot of other regions. Here in my neck of the Black Forest, for example, we tend to really love our Bauernbrot, or farmer's bread. And this regional diversity of bread
Wow, look at
products
that.
stems from the fragmented history of Germany up until the 19th century. Until then, what was known as Germany now was a cluster of hundreds of small duchies or kingdoms, all with their own distinct culture and dialect, and with their own bread. Thrown into this mix in the Middle Ages were another cluster of successful and growing merchant cities, also trying to attract trade and new immigrants, some with outstanding baked goods. Plus, a part of what also makes German bread just a little bit different is the climate here. Germany doesn't have the same amount of sunshine as southern France or Italy, and many areas are not conducive to wheat production. So grains such as rye and spelt tend to thrive better here and produce breads still consumed today. Rye contains less gluten and therefore requires longer fermentation time. The result is a distinctive, sharp, almost sour flavor that some people consider an acquired taste. But it's beloved in Germany.
I
And
like
this
that
dark,
texture. Yeah,
chewy,
that texture. I love it. You can tell there's almost no sugar in it too. Like the white bread that we make in the States, even in Puerto Rico, we call it the pan de agua, a water bread. That thing is so fluffy that it almost looks like how do they call it? Like a cotton candy. It literally looks like a cotton candy, and it's so white. But it's just made with sugar. It's a lot of sugar in it.
the heavy bread has substance. It literally outweighs fluffy focaccia or ciabatta, which is in part why German households consume a hefty 56 kilograms of bread per year. To give that number some perspective, Americans, on the other hand, consume less than half of that weight,
Wow.
despite our international reputation for larger portion sizes and a carb-heavy diet.
Love bread. I love bread.
Another factor that contributes
All right.
to the fame of German bread is the extensive use of sourdough fermentation, which not only infuses deeper flavors and aromas into the bread, but also makes it more wholesome. While in other countries, the use of sourdough has substantially declined in the last century, in Germany, this method kept existing to a large extent because many typical breads, like the ones based on rye flour, rely strongly on the use of sourdough to develop their intense flavor and character, something that's impossible to achieve using only baker's yeast. But Germans were baking nutritious, wholesome, whole grain bread long before the organic food renaissance. And to be honest, the preference for local bakeries specifically is one that is hard fought for here. Not unlike what happened with mass production in the other countries around the world, bread too began to trend towards the mass-produced. Bread from German supermarket chains began to either be sourced from an industrial bakery or baked off in-house from frozen prepared dough, yielding an everything tastes the same everywhere kind of product. Even the bread from many local bake shops had begun to be made using purchased sourdough starters and pre-made bread mixes. And don't get me wrong, the bread that you'll find inside a German supermarket is quite delicious, and critiquing it needs to come with a gigantic disclaimer.
Good point.
It is still light years ahead of American supermarket bread. But I think that the majority of Germans who are tuning in and watching this video today would probably agree with me that real German bread is not fast. Real German bread
Takes time. Takes time, and I like that.
comes from artisan bakeries,
Yep.
where the bakers themselves use quality ingredients, and it's a result of a lot of hard work, long hours, and the baker's professional knowledge and experience. And people here are willing to wait and pay more for a product that was created with such standards. Now, becoming a baker in Germany continues to be a highly regarded trade, and is one that takes a heck of a lot of time and experience in order to achieve. In Germany, the Baker Ausbildung program actively trains individuals who aspire to become professional bakers. This vocational training pathway offers comprehensive education in the art and science of baking, equipping students with the necessary skills and knowledge. Additionally, they acquire expertise in ingredients, recipe development, food hygiene, and quality control. And this kind of apprentice program is a unique German institution that combines theoretical learning with training on the job. Apprentices alternate between trade school, where they learn the scientific foundations of baking, and internships at established bakeries, where they put into practice what they just learned. In total, this baker apprenticeship in Germany takes 3 years, and finishing it is the result of a lot of rigor and highly regulated education. After completing this training, you are awarded the Gesellenbrief certificate, an equivalent to a bachelor's degree, with eligibility to work in any German bakery at competitive market rates, which I must.
Now, the question is, and I want to make sure that Ashton can answer this question, is it a good lifestyle to make money? Does a lot of these bakeries make money? That's what I want to know.
Say is an incredible amount of training in comparison to what's usually required in the United States. And this is no shade to American bakers. A lot of them are very talented, but even major bakeries like Levan Bakery in New York City really only requires some hands-on experience. Quite frankly, you just don't have to go to culinary school to bake bread. But in Germany, it doesn't just stop there. If you actually want to own your own bakery business, by law, you have to complete even more training. After 3 to 5 years of work experience, a baker in Germany then becomes eligible to enlist for a Meisterbrief, a master's certificate. Here, a baker is required to attend school again, usually in the evenings for 2 years. Meister School focuses on running a bakery and perfecting baking skills. Meister candidates must pass tough exams in baking, food chemistry, food laws, and business administration. There is also an extremely demanding practical exam, in which candidates must bake a collection of products in real time in front of a watchful commission. And that bread better be very good. Bakers are allowed to run a bakery and take on apprentices of their own, thereby ensuring that the knowledge is passed on from one generation to the next. The entire process from apprentice to master baker is supervised and regulated by the German Bäckereiinnung, the Bakers Guild, which ensures consistently high standards across Germany. It is worth noting that a lot of the larger, more established bakeries still do have problems recruiting young people to become.
I was about to say, is if you want to work in a bakery, does that make a lot of money? Do you make enough money to just take care of your family? You see what I'm saying? Do you make enough money? That's what I want to know. Because it's too much hassle to just earn like a little minimum wage or a little bit above minimum wage. Let me know in the comment section below.
Bakers today. Because this is a degree that requires a lot of training and a lot of education and a lot of really early work hours. After all, you got to get to that bakery heck of a lot earlier than even the workers who head out at 7 o'clock in the morning. It's not always the most desirable profession to enter into. But I think this level of expertise and education really speaks to just how important bread and bakeries are to German culture. You know, just like wine is to Italians or cheese making is to the French, bread is really truly a part of their culture and society here. And it's something that they really want to fiercely protect. And so yes, there are German standards for bread quality and sizes. Each year, the German Institute for Bread announces its Bread of the Year. By the way, in 2024, this year's Bread of the Year is Weizenvollkornbrot, wheat whole grain bread. Now, there are some very special customs and traditions that are connected to bread that I am very humbled to say that I've been lucky enough to participate in. One of the big ones that comes to my mind is the practice of giving someone bread and salt when they move into a new home. Bread and salt symbolize happiness and prosperity and are supposed to ward off evil spirits. So when we moved into our new home here in the Black Forest, our Makler or real estate agent actually gifted us a basket with salt, with a pre-made bread mix, and a bag of flour that came from our local mill just around the corner, which was incredibly kind and sweet. But bread culture and traditions, though, they're not really just solely reserved for these highly specialized occasions. Brotzeit, or bread time, is a snack meal consisting of fresh bread and a variety of cold toppings. And hey, sometimes beer too, the other bread of Bavaria. Brotzeit takes place in mid-morning, and part of the cultural lore in Germany is that construction workers in particular are known to drop the hammer at 9 a.m. sharp for their Brotzeit, no matter what. And this relationship between tradesmen specifically and Brotzeit originated amongst laborers in Germany who performed physically demanding work and regularly turned to quick, frequent meals. A cold snack was typically eaten between hot meals. In the 1920s, Germany saw the development of industrial canteens that would serve employees hot lunches. So it wasn't deemed necessary to have another hot meal at home in the evenings. So many would turn dinner into Abendbrot, or another Brotzeit in the evening. Abendbrot became even more popular after the Second World War. At that time, the number of working women also increased, and so the quickly prepared evening meal became a tradition in many working families. And I actually personally learned about this tradition when I was in the hospital here in Germany giving birth to both of my sons. Lunch was the only really large hot meal of the day, and every night, without fail, dinner was served of 2 slices of rye bread and a variety of cold toppings, like meats and cheeses, maybe some cucumbers or a tomato slice, for example.
That's not bad, man. Actually,
that
that's not
was
bad.
Dinner.
That's not bad.
Every single night. But bread also holds a special significance in religious ceremonies and festivals throughout the year. From the Easter breads of spring to the festive Stollen of Christmas, each season brings its own array of breads, embedded with tradition and symbolism. And although it's not really solely celebrated here in the Black Forest, one of my son's personal favorite bread traditions is around St. Martin's Day, which here they serve up Weckmann. Now, there are many variations and regional versions of this treat, but ours specifically is a lightly sweet bread in the shape of a man with raisin eyes and nose. Our local bakeries typically don't serve him with a white pipe, but again, there are differences from one area to the next. But again, what I really love about these kind of traditions is that they really do form this link between, culinary heritage and long-standing cultural traditions with a place and a community. And I think as the world becomes increasingly interconnected, preserving and celebrating traditional foods like German bread making is more important than ever. While modernization and globalization pose challenges to traditional crafts, they also present opportunities for innovation and collaboration. And so I would love to hear from you down in the comment section.
Man, that was a good video. I'm loving this topic about German bread. I'm really loving it. I'm really loving it. And I've been thinking about doing it. I did a keto bread, but I'm thinking about like a German bread. Very nice and clean. And, even it takes a couple days doing it. Man, what a nice video. Thank you so much for the recommendation, guys. Really appreciate it. Let me know what you guys think. What do you guys think about the industry in itself? Do you think there's a big future for the industry? Are the wages going up? Or we better need to wake up because the industry might disappear? I would love to hear you guys' opinions. Meantime, guys, I'll see you in the next one.